Welcome to TOMMO'S Race CHINWAG, a chat, a natter, a conversation, all things Formula One. Join me live on YouTube or after the fact on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as we get into the meat and bones of this wonderful, frustrating, exhilarating sport we know and love. My name's Tommo, let's talk about it. Hello, welcome back everyone. We are live, my name is Tommo and this weekend we are going to Spain, to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for, well, I mean, it's going to become an alternating event, isn't it? We've got it in 28, we've got it in 2030, we've got it in 2032, but no Barcelona Grand Prix. Next year, Madrid will be taking that Spanish Grand Prix title for 27, and they have a long-term deal. We don't know what the Madrid is going to feel like. If you've had a go of it on the F1 26 game, then you'll know that it's pretty chaos, but we're not talking about Madrid, the age-old rivalry between Barcelona and Madrid. Of course, we are talking about this weekend's Grand Prix. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Round 7 this season. It was round 9 last year. Of course, we lost 2 Grand Prix, so that's why it's different. A chaotic Grand Prix, a fun Grand Prix around a circuit these teams know very, very well, of course, was the pre-season testing venue for many years prior to Bahrain. 4.66 kilometers, 66 laps, going to be scorching hot all weekend in the high 20s, low 30s, C2, C3, C4 tyre compound as well, right in the middle of the range. And I love this track. I'm a big fan of Catalunya. Outside of Formula One more than anything else, look, Catalunya has given us moments for sure. Last year's race was interesting. Verstappen winning in 2016, obviously after Rosberg and Hamilton came together. There's been many moments at this circuit. As a racing track, this is great. As an F1 circuit, it's not always so much because you don't have too many overtaking opportunities. Of course, into turn 1 is decent. You don't see that many moves or as many moves as I'd like to see into turn 10. It feels like it should be, but you just can't quite get enough of a run up. It is basically into turn 1. It is the only real overtaking opportunity. But seeing these cars go full tilt around Barcelona, of course, they did have the very, very first pre-season not test shakedown thing at Barcelona, where you had all the spy cameras in the mountains knocking around. So, you know what? We'll see. We'll see. I expect the teams to come with a lot of knowledge here. We do have a traditional FP1, 2 and 3 weekend. Not expecting any craziness, but at the same time, you never know. Everyone's understanding, again, is very high. Cadillac are probably going to be exceptionally on the back foot because they're not carrying years of experience around this circuit. But again, I like it. Just not so much for F1. Typically, but it should be fun. And of course, I mean, last year, 2025, this is going to be the big topic. I'm sure whoever is the first journalist to ask Max about his incident with George last year, good luck with that. Because I can't imagine Max would take that particularly well. Of course, Oscar Piastri won the race from pole position, a very commanding drive. But yeah, after a late safety car with Kimi Antonelli breaking down, Max was put on the hards, almost lost it. Out of the final corner, starting the first push lap. Charles Leclerc got past him, bumped into him down the straight as well. George Russell tried to make his way through, and then the team asked Max to let George through. And what happened. It's very clear for all to see what happened. We don't need to speculate on this, but yeah, that was a story that really did. And I mean, Russell Verstappen, it had to be these two, didn't it? It just had to be these two. As much as Verstappen and Leclerc on track in terms of, you know, wheel to wheel, they're the two I really think race the best. I enjoy seeing them two race again. 2019 Silverstone, I will always bang on about how good that race was. Verstappen and Russell, in terms of two contrasting personalities coming together and doing battle, you love to see it. But of course, Kimi Antonelli has made himself the star of this season so far. Bosh. Qualifying head-to-head then. So far this season, after 9 of 30 qualifying sessions, these are the average gaps between teammates. The closest pairs are the McLaren and the Ferrari boys, who are basically neck and neck. Leclerc, Hamilton, Norris, Piastri. The biggest gap is Alonso over Stroll by almost 6/10 now. And then Verstappen, Hadjar, but a much more respectable gap than it has been at Red Bull Racing for a while now, just over 3/10 advantage max. I'm hoping Alex can close this gap to Science that's just under 3/10, but you got to say Carlos has had the strongest start to the season for sure. Lawson, Lindblad's definitely got pace. I don't think that's a representative gap, to be honest. Perez, Bottas, that's very up and down. Hulkenberg, Bortoletto. Hulk did a big job on Gabby in Monaco, which accounts for most of that 1.5 gap. Behrman Ocon, about right. Maybe even a bit more, to be honest. Gasly, Colapinto, I'd say that's probably about right. And Antonelli, Russell. I mean, Kimi's just stepped on it this year, is not relenting. And it's very, very impressive to see. Thank you, Shep. Hopefully this race is as good as that absolute 10 out of 10 masterpiece in Monaco. Nice additional use of the 0 there, Shep. I'm surprised by how many people enjoyed that Grand Prix, like genuinely. But there you go. There you go. Don't get me started. Don't try and rage bait me. Alexine sees where you're coming from there. Come on. Surely George will bounce back this weekend, BL4. You'd think so. You would think so. I mean, his performance, his pace was poor in Miami. His pace was poor in Monaco. But outside of that, his pace has not been a problem. He's mainly been pretty unlucky. But of course, that hasn't stopped Kimi romping away with this title early doors. 66 points clear of Lewis Hamilton, not George Russell. 68 points clear of George Russell. A big, significant gap there already. We've said it time and time again, like it feels like, it's a matter of time before Kimi hits some kind of roadblock, something that's going to destabilise his championship push, but he hasn't hit that yet, has he? He's been relentless. It was a 10 out of 10 performance in Monaco. And, I mean, who's putting past him doing it again? Let's be real. Teams championship-wise, Mercedes, of course, extending their lead, but Ferrari are there. And, of course, all this talk of Agüero, if you haven't seen my most recent video talking about what we know from the Agüero changes. In short, Red Bull have been deemed to have the best internal combustion engine, Mercedes second best, and by more than 2%. It's one thing. If they'd have been second best by like 1.5%, then you got to suck it up. But because it's more than 2%, according to the FIA's testing that we don't know, Mercedes get an upgrade this year and next year, which has not gone down well. Let's be real. It has not gone down well. Ferrari will get 2 this year and 2 next year. So it'll be interesting to see if this shakes up the competitive order at all as well. We're going to have to keep an eye on this because they will be doing re-evaluations as the season goes on. I believe there's 3 evaluation points throughout the year. We've had 1 after the first 5 rounds, and I believe there are 2 more as well this season. How much does Agüero help? I mean, as much as teams can use the resource that they're given, which is bench testing and the ability to spend money, essentially a budget cap depending on how far back they are. So Honda, for example, are going to get loads more money, even though they're going to get the same amount of upgrades as Ferrari, loads more money and loads more bench testing than Ferrari in order to actually make the upgrades to their ICE count. And of course, bear in mind as well, the customer teams. Customer teams will also be affected by this, and it's kind of out of their hands. So McLaren, Williams, Alpine have got hope that Mercedes take advantage of this opportunity for sure. Same to be said for Haas and Cadillac with Ferrari. Right, so there we have it. That's kind of a brief run-up. I mean, I've not wasted any time there. We've gone straight in. Thank you, Ratchet, for the super chat. Everyone's saying championship over. Needs to remember this is round 7 out of 24. Maybe less crazier has happened in this sport. Absolutely, it is far too soon to throw the baby out with the bathwater, for want of a better term. As much as Mercedes have been very strong, this is nothing like Mercedes 2014 dominance. This is a different kettle of fish entirely. It's not a great look, but ultimately Agüero was always going to be focused in on the internal combustion engine. And as I spoke about in my video, you got to remember Mercedes with their Formula ET up until very recently, which they have since closed down. A lot of that mined a lot of that brain power, a lot of that talent would have made its way from the Formula E team and at least consulted, surely, with Mercedes HPP to make sure that this battery is absolute fire. And again, they would have known, right, Aduo is all about the internal combustion engine. So let's maximize the battery. Let's jump on our top tier knowledge of battery deployment. And if the it's so complicated, isn't it? If the ice falls by the wayside ever so slightly, then we might benefit from Aduo. And that seems to be exactly what has happened. But alas, we have a few things to talk about additionally to the main information this weekend. First of all, which kind of is a bit mad, and an opportunity to prop my boy Alex Albon, who this weekend will overtake Nigel Mansell as the most race starting Williams driver of all time. Nigel's on 95, Alex is on 95. He will make it 96 this weekend. And to mark the occasion, he's got a special edition lid, which, oh my goodness, yes please, have some of that. Bosch, Arrivederci, c'est magnifique. I love it. It's very, very, very smart. I haven't looked into the design in terms of the inspiration for the actual design. I do have the article up here. Actually, I'm assuming it's just taken from an old Nigel Mansell helmet, I guess. Mansell was a little bit before my time. So, was it Nigel Mansell? Can't type. Oh my! I can't type. Williams. I don't even know what helmet he used to run. Like what design? I'm assuming. Yeah. It is. It is literally a not a carbon copy, but you know they've taken heavy inspiration. Even you can just about see in this image. There's a little yellow patch on the side which has the Wilkinson sword logo in. Well, in Nigel's day, it had the camel logo in it as well. So that's a nice little touch. Designed by MDM Designs. Shout out Miles. Superb at what he does, and painted by what's his name? There's he's got a bit of a mad name. I can't remember the helmet painter. Oh my god! I was looking at it earlier. Someone in chat's going to tell me. Chat, who's the guy who paints the helmets? It's literally on the tip of my tongue. I was looking at it earlier. It's so good. He paints loads of the drivers' helmets. That he actually doesn't do the designing. He just applies the design to the helmets. No user. It's not Picasso. Although that would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? No, not Jens. Not Jens. Oh, what's the guy's name? Oh, no. Right, someone in chat's going to come up with it eventually. All right, we're going to carry on because we've also... Now this is something nice. VCARB FC, should I say, to commemorate the World Cup that's starting anytime soon, which actually... I've never been less hyped for a World Cup. Now, I don't know if that's because my love for football has... I think it's a combination for me. My love for football has definitely waned over the years. My love for F1 has only increased and taken over that time. And also, of course, I've been very busy with little Finn. So the World Cup's kind of passed me by. Plus, there's all of the, nonsense spectacle that goes along with, unfortunately, hosting it in the US at the moment. You all know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I've not been focused on the World Cup at all. I watch it. I'm a huge England fan typically when the football's on, but I don't know. We'll see this year. Either way, this is absolutely magnificent. And if anyone remembers what the 1996 Sauber F1 car looks like, then this to me is like it's a superb ode to that car. I don't think it is designed to be an ode to that car, but it just looks so good, and it's got that same kind of blue and teal color palette, but also the wheels are filth and I say that in the best possible terms. The wheels are sensational. I absolutely love it. I think this is 10 out of 10, 0 notes from me. I'm just going to show you the Sauber that I believe this is at least part inspired from. Look at that. 96 Sauber. Bosch. Happy days. Look at that. Ooh, lovely jubbly. There's that. There's that. There's that. There's that. Oh, God, look at it. Look at it. Thing of beauty. Thing of absolute beauty. I absolutely love it. Very, 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 very nice. Well done. Sensational, Han. Well, there you go. See? Gets the seal of approval from baby mama. There we go. Love to see it. V-Carb, excellent work. The team kit they've dropped, I'm not so keen on. It's fine, but the livery is c'est magnifique. Absolutely love it. Excellent stuff. Right. Okay, let's go bangers and clangers, shall we? Shall we do bangers and clangers for the 2026 Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona? And for me, pole position is Andrea Kimi Antonelli, because why not? You just now got to start betting on the kid, because it's just inevitable. Like, that pole lap in Monaco was unreal, and I see no reason why he won't do it again. I asked 584 of you, and you felt the same. 47% of you went with Kimi on pole, 30% George Russell, 7% Verstappen, 7% Hamilton. Race win, I've gone Antonelli, you've gone Antonelli, with identical, essentially, 46% of you instead of 47 went for the race win. 30 Russell, 7 Verstappen, 7 Hamilton. So basically, we all think Kimi's going to win. Almost certainly think that a Mercedes is going to win. Over 75% of us think Mercedes on pole and race as well. So there you go. So, and I get it. This feels like a track that is going to play into Mercedes' battery management advantage that they have. I see no reason why they won't be the quickest team this weekend. But will they be banger team? Maybe not. Banger driver for me this weekend, I've got Nico Hülkenberg. He did an unreal job last season. I think he finished 6th, didn't he? Overtook Lewis at the end when he was in that awful green Sauber. Overtook Lewis in his Ferrari. Also, I think Audi are going to go very strong this weekend. I think this track will play to their strengths. Big turbo, good in a straight line. I just see Audi doing absolute bits, and I think Nico Hülkenberg is going to deliver. Was it P5 last year? There you go. Balbay. Even better than I thought. You've gone Lewis Hamilton. 14% of the vote. 14 also for Verstappen, but Lewis did get slightly more votes. 9% Sainz and 9% Lando Norris. As for Clanger driver, I've gone Charles Leclerc. His issues with the brakes were clear and obvious, as much as I don't think it was the brakes that actually put him into the wall. He certainly thought so. And the tarmac obviously played a factor. Right, we know that. That's very clear. But he's not happy. And he said this weekend he's going to switch to Lewis's setup with the brakes, whatever that means. My understanding is that, these current spec cars, where they regenerate all of their battery, all of the regen happens on the rear axle, right? It doesn't happen on the front axle at all. That means the rear brakes don't get as hot, because the brake discs aren't getting used as much on the rears, because so much of the regen is doing the braking instead of the discs. Therefore, you have less temperature. Therefore, you're more susceptible to struggle on the brakes. And Lewis is a bit more of an aggressive driver with his style, more aggressive with his inputs, be that steering, be that throttle, be that brake. Whereas Charles is a little bit smoother, but that potentially means he's generating a bit less temperature. And when you're already down on temperature, then that only makes it worse. That's my understanding anyway of Charles' misgivings. And as much as, again, if he might change his brake setup to mirror Lewis's this weekend, I don't think that's going to change his fortunes overnight. So I anticipate a settling in period for Charles with these brakes. And I'm not getting ahead of myself. As much as I would love him to do well, I don't think he will. And your clanger driver is George Russell. 13% of the vote, though. So a very big spread. You had 10% Ocon, 9% Leclerc, 9% Hadjar. What other drivers got decent votes? Antonelli got 8%. Stroll 6%. Bottas 5%. Norris 4.7%. I'll round these up to the nearest whole number, by the way. Hamilton 5.7%. Colapinto 3.3. So yeah, there's a fairly broad range of drivers getting chucked forward for potential clanger. We will see. I hope George can bounce back this weekend because I want a championship fight. And as much as it'd be great vibes if Kimi wins his title, if he just runs away with it and wins it at Canter, I don't want to see that. I want to see competition, you know? And George is our best hope, absolutely, for a championship fight right now. So I want to see him step back up for sure. Banger team, I've gone Audi. For the same reason I say about Hulkenberg, I think Audi will run well around here. I think their car is going to be suited to the medium high-speed corner characteristics of Catalunya. And again, that big turbo is going to play dividends. You think McLaren, which would be an exceptional bounce back from Monaco. Monaco did definitely feel like a bit of an outlier for sure. We know previous to that, Miami, they were looking competitive. Suzuka could have won the race if Piastri's luck had been a bit different. So fair enough, McLaren, 20%. And of course, Oscar led home a 1-2 here last season. 16% Mercedes, 15% Ferrari, 11% Alpine for Banger. And then finally, Clanger team, I've gone Aston. Why? Because I mean, apart from the obvious reasons, Aston, their power deficit, be that ice, be that battery, is going to be exponentially hurt around a circuit like Catalunya. I just think, that's... They're not going to be in a good place. I mean, maybe Newey's chassis can make up for it a bit in the high to medium speed corners, but I'm not expecting much. They're going to be really hurt in the straights, and they're just going to be sitting ducks into turn 1. That's the way I see it. 3 point, I know, but you got to take them, right? I'm trying. I'm making a conscious effort this weekend anyway. I'll probably change my mind next weekend to try and get as many points as possible. So I want to actually try and be a bit serious here. And actually lock in rather than just YOLO in it. You know what I mean? And then finally, your Clanger team, you've gone also Aston Martin, yawn. 17%, 15 Williams, 13 Haas, 10% Ferrari. So yeah, we've both gone. Oh, look at Kimi's head move in the pole position graphic. That's slightly annoying. But there you go. Fairly similar, but also somewhat different. Bosh, job done. Lovely days. Happy New Year, even though it's June. My brain's still scrambled egg right now, as I'm sure you can imagine. Right, anything else I haven't touched on, chat? I think that's a pretty decent synopsis. Again, Barcelona will not be on the calendar next year. It will return in 28. It will return in 2030 and 2032. Beyond then, who knows? Of course, all of the investment in the Madrid at Madrid. You would expect long-term, maybe Madrid takes over as the sole Spanish Grand Prix. I don't know. I really like this circuit. I think it doesn't work great for F1. But just as a motorsport fan, I do want to see it on the calendar. What do you think? Rookie FP1s, Harry. Yes, good shout. I saw that Ayumu Iwasa is going to be in the Red Bull. Paul Aaron is going to be in the Audi. I haven't seen any of the others. Chat, please enlighten me. Which ones have I missed out on? Hot Pays, watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans Saturday. I would love to, but I am working Saturday, Sunday. And I am also, I'm out all day, and then I'm just going to need to sleep when I'm back. Also, actually, I'm hosting an event with Red Bull over the weekend in Oxford Circus in London, and it's the details are on the Red Bull website. But if you want to come along, I don't know if there's seats available or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how the ticketing thing's working, but yeah, for Saturday qualifying and Sunday race, I'm going to be there hosting alongside some other people. I'm not sure if it's public who the other people are, so I'm just going to say other people. But yeah, come along if you can. If you can make it, I will be there. Fornaroli in the McLaren, nice. And who else? Luke Browning at Williams, nice, makes sense. Herta for Perez in the Cadillac, very cool. Very cool to see Colton Herta in the Cadillac. Give him an opportunity to show what he can do. It's raining. I definitely did bring the washing in before. I anticipate it was literally bright blue skies when I started this stream, and now it's raining. I can't see because the blind's down. But anyway, now Paul Aaron used to be with Alpine, but now he is with Audi, isn't he? Or did they just loan him out? Because that has happened in the past. JB, that is a bold prediction, my friend. Well, I need to get working on my putting in order to make that happen. And we both need to work on off the tee. Trying to get around in one ball, that'd be lovely, mate. Anything else? It is odd that Tomo is part of the Red Bull media. You're more suited to Mercedes. I mean, am I? I don't know. Is that a compliment? I don't know. I mean, either or, you know. I mean, Red Bull have been very good to me, so I love it. Ferrari, Dino Boganovic, that's cool. In for Lewis, nice. Williams, Luke Brown in for Albon, yeah, nice. Thank you, Max, for the synopsis there. Boganovic, Fornaroli, Herta, Browning, and Awassa and Aaron are all in for FP1 this weekend. So that's going to be interesting. FP1's always more worth a watch when you've got a lot of rookies knocking about, because it's always interesting. So you remember when Lindblad jumped in, I want to say Austria, wasn't it, last year, and set an absolute barnstorm in time right at the end of FP1. You can make an impression with these call-outs, and I'd love to see Herta do a good job. That would be very, very nice. Tomo can afford a Red Bull, not a Merc. That's very true, Max. Very painfully true. Oh dear. Cyfran, what is your opinion if Alex leaves Williams and they replace him with Luke Browning? Would that be good or bad? I mean, obviously Williams are preparing Luke and have invested a lot of time into him. And I guess, you know, they need to be prepared to, I mean, Sainz or Albon, right? That either of them could walk, who knows? Whether it's pushed or, you know, just an opportunity. Why is Adobe Lightroom randomly opened up? Literally all on its own. I never use Lightroom. Why is it? Adobe's having a moment here on the stream. I'm just going to close that there. Fred Vesting in Mercedes as well, Jonas. Okay, that'd be cool. I mean, yeah, that would also make sense. How is Fred Vasseur doing? Yeah, good question, actually, Patrick. I kind of, that went a bit under the radar. I almost missed that Fred wasn't about because, you know, he had to go to hospital for something. And I've not really heard anything since. So, honestly, I don't know. But, yeah, regarding Alex, I mean, look, I think Alex showed last year that, you know, he is perfectly fine. He's been very unfortunate, I think, on a number of times this year. A number of occasions he's definitely not washed, but of course, you know, a lot of F1 fans have very short-term memories, so I'm sure Williams will not forget just how good a servant he's been to the team. And yeah, I hope for a turnaround in his fortune. Monaco was a lot better for sure. And I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, Williams have absolutely oversold the project to the drivers, anticipating something to be, you know, hot in 26, and it's not. But Alex, I reckon, is more likely to stick with the team and give them the patience. I think Sainz would be more likely to get an offer from a big team if a seat became available, if a Red Bull seat became available, if a Mercedes seat became available, if a, you know, maybe not McLaren. I mean, you never know. Obviously, there's rumours when Piastri to Red Bull and then Sainz going to McLaren would then kind of make sense, but I don't think that's going to happen. Either way, I think they've got two top drivers and they just need to give them a top car now so that they can do their thing. Right, I'm going to wrap this here. Thank you all for taking the time. Really do appreciate it. Apologies for any umming and ahhing. I am very sleep deprived. I thought I had a half decent night's sleep last night, but I had to eat a massive cupcake before I started this stream. Thank you, Em, for bringing those over, because I was struggling. Like 20 minutes before this stream, I was like, oh my god, how am I going to go live for half an hour, 45 minutes, whatever I'm live for? But we managed. We pushed through. So thank you all. Hot Pays, Ratchet, Kevin, Cyan, Bill, Anmol, Linda, Platypus, Thomas, Farza, Nico, Jason, Jessica, Alexine, Patrick, Patty, Big Man Patty, should I say? Peachy, Sense, Vanam, Awkward, Yummy, Burger, and the rest of you. My name's Tomo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da. Bye-bye.